morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. I remain your pastor, Apst Emma Elewuwa of God's Army of Peace International Church Incorporated, domiciled in Benin City, Nigeria, West Africa. I bring you another message and discussion tonight at this hour. I don't know where you are watching from, and depending on the time you are watching this clip. Last year, or about last 2 years, God gave me a revelation about our country, Nigeria. And in that revelation, let me put it very quick so that this video will not be long. I was walking down a street and I saw a group of people gather, and they were dancing. A song, was just playing, and the people were dancing, everyone there. I saw in the group of these people, they were a mixture of different tribes. I saw the Igbos, I saw the Hausas, the Northerners, I saw the Yorubas. They were all dancing, irrespective of the difference in tribe, culture, and what have you. They were all dancing. And I was really stunned about what I saw, and I was wondering, why will all be dancing this way? There were no confusion. They were all dancing like one another. And in the course of that, I discovered that I heard the voice of God say to me, Nigeria can be united again. That the only thing that is happening in Nigeria right now is the root cause is disunity among the tribes, among the people. And I was asking the Lord, how come about this disunity? The Lord made me to know that those who are politicians, that somebody is sowing a seed of discord by playing a song that will cause confusion, that will cause disunity. That somebody is sowing sowing the seed of discord through playing songs or beating the drum that will bring about problems, confusion. And then I noticed something in that revelation, that the song that was being played, that the people were dancing on, were not a song of any tribe. That song was simply like a national song, played in English language. It was not in Yoruba, it was not in Igbo, it was not in Hausa language. It was a Yoruba song. It was an English song, and a song that talked about the unity of Nigeria. The song talked about the unity of Nigeria. And with that revelation, the Lord made me to know that Nigeria can still be together, united, and move forward again. And that is the reason why I'm trying to make this video, okay? Very unfortunately, with what I'm seeing right now, I can categorically say to us that if we continue this way, we can never make headway. Do not let anybody deceive you. The only thing working in Nigeria right now, or in other part of Africa, is only what I call personal development, personal riches, or personal wealth. As far as I'm concerned, at this moment, nothing like national wealth, nothing like continental wealth as far as Africa is concerned. And it beats my mind that Africa is one of the richest continents in the world. But to what is happening to Africa is what nobody has been able to fathom or give an explanation about. And that made me to conclude that with the way things are going, I'm beginning to think that Africa may never get it right. Nigeria, in particular, may as well never get it right. We may never get it right. I don't want to be very. I don't want to say negative things here, because Nigeria is my country, is your country, and the only country that we have, and the only country that we can call our own. But I don't want to say anything negative, but to be very frank with us, we've gone very far in this unity. We've gone very far in against one another. And if we continue this way, I can tell you for free that we may never get it right. The same thing in Africa. How come that Nigeria and Africa in general is one of the richest continents, and Nigeria as the most populous black nation in the world, with all the mineral resources, with all the blessings of God upon this country, and things are still going the same way? A lot of people have prayed all manner of prayers. We have done everything we think can be possible. And that has made me also to say, without missing words, that Africa may be under a curse. And Nigeria in particular is not left out of that curse. Because if you say Africa is not cursed, or Nigeria is not cursed, then what can you tell me, or what argument can you bring forward on the table that is the reason why things are going the way they are going? What will you say is the reason why things are the way they are? Okay, Nigeria just celebrated 65 years of independence. And with what we see in Nigeria and in other parts of the world, I can tell you for free that Africa has still not yet gotten independent. The independence we have is just on paper, on the lips, or physical independence. But spiritually, we are still enslaved. We are still in slavery. We are still under the Western world. Can you imagine, as rich as this continent is, we still run around to borrow huge amount of money, squander them without even using them for any infrastructure or anything that would make life meaningful for the citizens of the continent or the citizens of our countries. So if you ask me, I will say there is only one thing I think can be done right now, and that will be a national or continental surrender to God. I do no longer want to believe that a lot of our older spiritual fathers keep telling us to pray for Nigeria, to pray for Africa, as if we have not been praying, and we have been praying. And all I can always see is personal success, personal development, even at most of the time, at the expense of the masses, at the expense of the poor, at the expense of the weak, at the expense of those who are not strong, who cannot fight. So those who are strong subject the weak to become wealthy and to get all that they can get, while other persons cry or suffer. No system is working. No system has been put in place to make things right, to checkmate those who work under the government. No system has been put in place to help even others to see the light of the day. It's just like a jungle of the survival of the fittest, whereas it ought not to be so. So I'm making this video to encourage every other Nigerians that until a national surrender and continental surrender to God is done, organized by the leaders of these nations of Africa, believe me, we may never get it right. And like I said, I've come to believe with no iota of doubt that Africa may be under a curse, and Nigeria in particular, the same, under a serious curse. Otherwise, I have no explanation, and I think no one has explanation to give over what is happening in Nigeria right now. I have no explanation, and no one have any explanation to give to what is happening to Africa and to Nigeria, if not a cause. How would a country or a continent siphon their mineral resources, their country's wealth, to other nations, leaving it there for those nations to survive with, while their people are struggling? How will you explain how people make money that even their fourth generation will never be able to finish it, at the expense of other persons who are alive now? Some even try to make money for children that are not yet born, that may not even be born. Is that not madness? That is actually nothing but madness. So I want to encourage Nigerians, keep on working on your personal development to help yourself build value that you'll be able to exchange for wealth or for money to sustain yourself. Don't fold your hands. Try to build value, because people will not give you money because they like you, or because you are crying, or because you are suffering. No matter how you are suffering, nobody will give you money. But people will be willing to exchange every value you can bring to the table. In exchange, they will give you money in exchange of your value. So I want to encourage you, keep building value while we look unto God for what can be done to Africa and Nigeria. But let me say this. Our leaders, who are spiritual leaders, should do everything they can to get the presidents, the governors, and whatever we have, to let's see to it that we surrender this continent and this nation in particular to God. Until we come down bowing before God, we may never see a change. Some may think that, well, we don't need prayer. China is not praying. Europe are not praying. America is not praying. That's not true. But that is by the side. I can tell you that the curse upon Africa, such a curse is not upon the Americans. Such a curse is not upon the European continent. Such a curse is not in the Asian continent. There is certainly a curse on the black race on the African continent. If you say it is not true, I think we should be able to get down and analyze this thing properly. Because from what I could see when I've been able to take my research, I've been able to look into every matter. I've been able to take statistics of things that are going on around the world. And I can tell you that there is a curse upon the African continent. And until that curse is broken, we may never find anything going well. Until that yoke of that curse is broken out of the continent, we may still be in the next 40 years saying what we are saying right now. And if you say I'm telling lies, or if you doubt me, many are blaming Tinubu, the president. Remember, we blamed Buhari. Remember, we also blamed Goodluck. Have you forgotten we also blamed Obasanjo? Have you forgotten we blamed Abacha? Have you forgotten we blamed Buhari? I'm sure you have not forgotten. We also blamed Buhari the first time. We also blame the Shehu Shagari. I can go on and on and begin to tell you all of that. But with all the blames of those previous leaders, every preceding leader, government have always been worse than the predecessor. The new leader government has always been worse than the previous one. At the time of good luck, things were still very cheap. Let me take an example. A bag of rice was about 8,000. But people were crying, oh, we need a change. We started complaining, we need a change. Everybody was, on the streets. But I am sure we didn't know that 10 years ago or thereabout, that life was still very sweet, that we were enjoying that moment. But here we are today, 10 years later. We are now making reference to the past government that we once condemned and tell them to go, that we need a change. And if that could happen in 10 years, I can still tell you without missing words that in the next 10 years, we will still be making reference to the government of President Tinubu. We will be making reference. Oh, Tinubu government, we never had it that way. That is to tell you that it has always been nosediving of the continent and of Nigeria in particular, especially from independence. It has been nosediving. Having gotten what we profess to be independent, whether here or all through the continent, we never done better. Rather than do better, we have the country and the continent keep nosediving. That is that. Let me also say this before I round up this video. Everybody's gallivanting. I love it. In the last election, I was actually willing that Obi should come in. But after Obi lost the election and this government came in and I saw what happened, I took more research and I discovered that even Obi cannot change Nigeria. Not even in 4 years. And not even in 8 years. Not even if you give Obi 20 years. But one thing I believe, and I want to say here, I believe Obi could do better in a way by a minimal progress. A minimal progress or a minimal change. But that will never bring a total change, because the problem on the continent and in Nigeria in particular, until it is removed, we may still find it difficult to have a better days ahead. Obi is a good man, and I believe that he's economical when it comes to, he's prudent when it comes to, money management and resources management. That's one of the things everybody likes him for. But I can tell you for free, if we're all banking on Peter Obi, we may not have a complete change in Nigeria. And I want to ask a question. Obi is a human being. Obi is not a system. What about after Obi's 4 years or even 8 years, if it happened that way? Then the country goes back to where it's coming from. So I think the most important thing is not about the people, about the person. It's about the system. And it's not just about the system. Now it's about the continent. Until the curse upon the continent is removed, I do not believe that there will be any meaningful change. And for those of you who say I'm lying, save this video. Okay? Save it. And after 20 years, we'll revisit it again. Save this video. If you say I'm lying, save this video. After 20 years, we will revisit this video again. And I'm sure by then, Nigerians must have been making reference to the government of Tinubu. Let me tell us something. If the cause over the continent, and Nigeria in particular, is broken. We don't need a good man or a man that has moral upbringing to rule the country. What we need is a righteous man. There is difference between a good man and a righteous man. And who is a righteous man? A righteous man may be somebody who is even a criminal, somebody who has a bad behavior or has bad record, but have encountered God and have changed. And such a person, God have declared such a person righteous. We don't just need a good man who have no negative record. That's not what we need. Because even if you bring a man who have not had any negative record, like we're all gallivanting for Obi, if the curse over the country and the continent is not broken, he will make little or no impact. It's not about the people. I can believe, and I have believed, that most of these leaders that have ruled this country at one time or the other had good intentions. But when they get to power, the forces beyond them took over them and used them against the nation. Believe me, that is what I believe. And I know it is true. You won't tell me that as old as Tinubu is, he never had any good intention to rule this nation or to do well or to make impact. You can't tell me that as the person of Buhari is, he never had good intention to do anything good for this nation. The same thing with Goodluck, the same thing with Obasanjo, the rest of them, the same thing. At one time or the other, somehow, these men must have good intention to make impact in their nation and to change things. But when they get to power, the forces beyond them took over from them or take them over, and everything turned to the negative. This is exactly what has been happening to this nation and to this continent. On a very good day, we'll have the time to sit down or to analyze these things, to trace the root of this problem of Africa, because I'm here to tell you that actually, Africa is a continent. Something is wrong somewhere. Nigeria as a nation, something is wrong somewhere. And this thing that is wrong is beyond individual prayers, is beyond the rulers. It will only take collective prayer, collective repentance, collective submission to the will of the Almighty God. And until then, save this video. Those who are saying China is this, America is this, we are not the same with China. What we are going through spiritually, they are not going through the same thing. The curse and the yoke upon the country that is spiritual, giving problem to this continent and this nation, is not upon those countries. They are not going through the same spiritual causes, spiritual problem. They are not going the same with it. So they are not going through the same thing. So you cannot keep on comparing them with Africa on the surface, on the physical surface, without taking cognizance with the spiritual matters. And I can tell you this for free. Only those who understand spiritual matters will understand what I'm saying now. And until we take it from the aspect of the spiritual, the perspective of the spiritual, believe me, from now to the next 20 years, we still may never get it right. I wish all our leaders well. I believe they are, in one way or the other, have good intentions, but the forces beyond them are turning things the opposite way, and at the end, it's working negatively. Don't forget, Buhari came down and began to plead to Nigerians for forgiveness. But while he was still in active service as the president, why did he not remember that Nigerians, he will seek for forgiveness? He won't do that. He won't remember. By the time they come down, their eyes become clear that they have done 8 years, that they have done 4 years, that they have finished their tenures. Their eyes is not clear. But what can they do? It's already over. So I want to plead to Nigerians, continue working on your personal development. But do not let it be at the expense of your fellow Nigerians, fellow poor people, or fellow struggling people. While you are doing your personal development, work genuinely to get there, not at the expense of your fellow Nigerians. God bless you. I remain your pastor, Apst Emma Elewuwa. It's my prayer that God will help me to see that day that Nigeria will be dancing together irrespective of the tribe and the culture, working together with one another as we used to be so many years ago. If you believe in this prayer, drop an amen. You will also see that day, irrespective of what we are going through. Finally, before I leave, I want to plead to our spiritual leaders to take it up upon themselves to get the leaders of these nations and this continent to come together. Let's go for national prayer, national surrender, national cry unto God, so that this curse and this evil upon these nations and this continent be broken out of this continent. And after that is done, believe me, it won't take long. Africa and Nigeria in particular will blossom. God bless you. I remain your pastor, Apst Emma Elewuwa. Bye-bye.